Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Just Because Wrestling. We are here. It's just us this week. Um, Unfortunately, we had a guest booked, but due to circumstances outside of their control and our control, they were unfortunately unable to make it to record today. So we've rebooked. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we'll get that interview out soon. But we called an audible. It's just the two of us, like the old school days, and
Yeah.
we we are going
Card,
to
card,
go on.
card is always subject to change, as they say.
Card subject to change. So we will talk about the fallout from NXT Takeover, which we reviewed with Mr. Speedball Mike Bailey last week, and the we'll talk the Elimination Chamber, which is coming this Sunday, and bleeding into that, we will then predict our cards for WrestleMania 37. So yeah, big week this week in terms of wrestling as always. Billy, we'll start
always,
with. Go on.
I was gonna say it's always a hectic few weeks. The next 8 weeks are gonna be fairly hectic with shows and news and matches and all that stuff. Because we're on the road to WrestleMania, and
and like everything bleeds in together, because like this Sunday I was quite looking forward to going to bed at a reasonable hour, because like 3 Sundays ago was the Royal Rumble, 2 Sundays ago was the Super Bowl, and last Sunday was NXT Takeover, and I was like, I'm quite looking forward now, going to bed early, getting up at college for the right time instead of missing my first lecture as I have been the last 3 weeks, and getting starting my week well. And then you text me to my surprise this week and said, "Yeah, Elimination Chamber is this Sunday." I said, "What?" This Sunday.
Yeah, it that's the thing with these shows, and like this kind of time frame in the wrestling calendar is like shows tend to sneak up on you, because you have the Rumble, then you have WWE still insist on doing 2 pay-per-views in between the Rumble and Mania,
which is ridiculous.
Yeah, like we have just keep in mind we have this, and then I think is it 2 or 3 weeks time we have Revolution in AEW. Then the week after that, or 2 weeks after that, we have Fastlane. So like they come fast and hard, and like,
and not only that, if you're keeping up with like,
you have a New Japan show. There's a New Japan show next week.
Yeah, you've Castle Attack next week. We have
2 nights.
Yeah, and we have and Progress. Are back this Saturday, aren't they?
Is it this Saturday? I can't remember. I know they're now
Saturday. At least that's a reasonable time. That's 8 p.m. our time.
Yeah, I know they announced it's the natural progression tournament. I know they announced that, which should be good. And then they have I know they announced their next like big show with like Cara Noir returning, and they announced a big 4-way match to determine the number 1 contender, and so things are slowly but surely starting to return to a small bit of normality, I suppose. But
and I suppose we touched on that because we've kind of just glossed over it. But the significance of Progress being on the WWE network has kind of gone under the radar. Like, the shows, like the ICW shows and all, went on the network, and I know that, but like, I didn't know up until they announced it that they were going to actually be doing live shows off the WWE network, which is a pretty big deal for Progress and British wrestling, So that'll be an interesting one to see, because like, Progress has been, and people on like the majority of the people on NXT UK have come from Progress, so it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting for the American fans and for fans that don't see wrestlers that we see in Europe. It'll be interesting what they think, because like, someone like Cara Noir to us, like we get the character, we know it, and we're a big fan of his. But like, does that translate to an American audience?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, there is only one way to find out. I like, yeah, you're always kind of worried with the European style of wrestling, or not even so much the European style of wrestling, but people who come from the UK, people who come from here in Ireland and stuff, like they like we obviously have, like, Irish people obviously have a very Irish sense of humor. We obviously have very, very Irish mannerisms like that are very, when we go to an old, and we see, all the Irish talent and cutting promos or something, and they say something, I don't know, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, something like, we'll have a bit of crack out later or something like that. People obviously know what that means in Ireland. If he's obviously going to have to change the colloquialisms, when he's when you're talking to an American audience.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one.
And same with. Go on, what? Sorry.
No, you see, you cut out, so I thought you would stop talking. Go on, what we said.
Oh no, and then you have obviously, like, same with English and Scottish wrestlers and Welsh wrestlers, like they all have their own kind of very unique slang that, like, is very, very particular for that area. Like, even in England, like, people from London have a different slang to people from Liverpool. You know what I mean? Like, it's very, very niche in this part of the world, and it is worrying to see how, someone who is kind of overtly Irish, like, say, like someone like Session Matt Martina, do you know what I mean? Like, she has a very, like, a Session Matt mightn't necessarily, like, if you say that to an American person, they won't necessarily know what that is. Like, obviously, when you see her, you figure it out. But, like, it's a small bit worrying to see, or like to wonder how that'll translate to an American audience. And I suppose just the exposure on the network, and like, probably the biggest audience they'll have, virtually anyway, will kind of will allow audiences, not just from America but from all over the world, to get more accustomed, to that style, to their personalities. And I mean, like, it's a fantastic opportunity for them, and especially the fact that it's the natural progression tournament, because obviously the whole gimmick behind that is it's all rookies, it's all people who are new and young into their career, who haven't had that many matches in progress anyway. Like, 9 times out of 10 you won't know. Like, I wouldn't know, say, like, I know the last natural progression tournament that happened, I suppose it was 2019 now that it happened. I knew a good few of the names by that point, a good few, but this tournament, I think I knew two. I think I knew two of them, just because we've had a weird period of wrestling where a lot of people got signed, a lot of people, have moved on to other companies. A lot of people, like, there's the kind of turnover in the independent scene in the UK anyway, especially, and in Ireland. But, like, it's a huge exposure for them.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting one. And then following on from that, we have the Elimination Chamber this Sunday. So without further ado, I suppose we'll get into it. This won't take long. It's a 5-match card, even though one of the matches won't be
one match is gone. We can talk about it anyway, just in case, but, like, it won't happen. So yeah, we'll kick things off first with the Smackdown Elimination Chamber match. So it's an Elimination Chamber match for number one contendership for the Universal Championship. But the catch is the match will take place later on that night. So the participants are Jey Uso, Kevin Owens, King Corbin, Sami Zayn, Cesaro, and Daniel Bryan. Who do you have and why?
This is a tough one. My heart is saying Daniel Bryan. My head is saying Kevin Owens. I'm not sure. I'm going to go the typical WWE route and go Kevin Owens. Because he has yet to get a clean win or a clean sort of break in terms of a match with Roman. The last match that they had, Roman had him beat, or Kevin Owens had him beat, but he pulled the ref out of the way to make the 10 count and stuff. So, as much as it pains me to say, I think it's just going to be another Kevin Owens and Roman Reigns match, and hopefully that'll be the end of it.
Yeah. See, I'm similar to you. My head is saying Kevin Owens. My heart is saying Daniel Bryan. My soul is telling me Cesaro.
No.
No, he's already in a feud with. He's in a feud with Seth now, anyway. So,
yeah.
See, I'm trying to figure out how this works best because. I'm gonna go Daniel Bryan just for a bit of difference, right? I'm gonna go Daniel Bryan to win this one.
Yep.
Kevin Owens, he can last till the very end if you want. Like you can do Owens and Bryan final 2 if you want, and Owens lose cleanly then, just so he has no more excuses that way.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm gonna go Daniel Bryan to be. I don't think this will be like just a one and done match with Roman either between Bryan. I think they'll rematch at Fastlane just before WrestleMania probably.
Yeah.
Maybe with Nakamura thrown in there too. I don't know, but yeah, I reckon Bryan for the win. And go on before
it's bizarre that Nakamura isn't in this match.
It's bizarre that he's not. Yet King Corbin is, and Jey Uso is for some reason.
See, I get Jey Uso because I think what's going to happen here is it's going to, like, for me, it's going to come down to whoever wins and Jey Uso. And Jey Uso is just, his job there then is to injure whoever as much as he can, let them win then, and it's just easy pickings for Roman then. So I understand Jey Uso in it. I don't understand Corbin. I think.
Yeah, then Corbin sticks out like a sore thumb in this match.
Like who's he feuding with now? Is it the Mysterios?
Mysterios.
Yeah. So like.
Yeah. But like, but the thing was, I don't know if they dropped that feud because obviously Corbin, he introduced Steve Cutler and Wesley Blake as his new kind of, tough guys, and then obviously Cutler got cut, and so I don't know, but yeah, Corbin sticks out in this match like a sore thumb. You could easily replace him with Nakamura, and it would make far more sense. Yeah, I think you could be right there actually with Jey Uso and the winner.
Yeah,
I can see Owens getting eliminated by Sammy because Sammy like strikes at being like, we're friends, we're still friends. Let's gang up on Corbin or something, and then Sammy will just double cross him or something like Kevin did to him. But yeah, no, I think you're right in the sense. I think you're right that it could be Jey and Jey and the winner, but it's a question of who's the winner, and I think it is either going to be Owens or Bryan.
Yeah.
No one else really makes sense. So yeah, I'll go Daniel Bryan. You're going Kevin Owens, and I suppose sticking to the subject, we'll move straight on to the Universal Championship match, which will be the Universal Champion Roman Reigns defending his title against the winner of this match. What?
Oh, sorry. Go on.
Oh yeah, versus the winner of this match. So in your case, you'd have Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens. Who'd you have and why?
Roman.
Yeah.
Dude, it doesn't matter who it is. It's going to be Roman because, like.
Yeah. what I can see happening is I can see, let's say in my case, Daniel Bryan wins. The chamber lifts up. Roman comes in straight away, spear. Like the match happens immediately after the chamber, and Bryan or Owens or whoever is just knackered. Like, and they have to wrestle Roman now, who's rested. He's fine.
Yeah, shades of New Year's resolution 2006. With
yeah, or even Elimination Chamber 2010 when Batista came out and battered John Cena.
Yeah.
Yeah, just something like that, and that's why I think we'll get Roman Bryan again at Fastlane, because I think Bryan will be like, "What the hell? that surely wasn't allowed." So yeah, I think there's no point in sugarcoating it. Roman Reigns is gonna win. Moving on, the next match is a match that actually could be very, very good. If given the time and stuff, and I think it will do. It is a triple threat match for the United States Championship. It is United States Champion Bobby Lashley defending his title against Keith Lee and Riddle in a triple threat match. Who do you have here and why, Jack?
I'm going Keith Lee. I think it's his time. I think the reason this is a triple threat match is to get the title off Bobby Lashley, and I think what will happen then is it'll be Keith Lee pins Riddle. Lashley is pissed off because Riddle basically cost him his title. Lashley attacks Riddle. We get Riddle and Lashley at Fastlane, and Keith Lee goes off and probably holds the Intercon or the United States title without defending it until Mania, and is barely on TV. So yeah, I'm gonna go Keith Lee.
Yeah, okay, interesting. I'm gonna disagree and go Bobby Lashley to retain. Just because I actually think Lashley has done a phenomenal job as United States champion over the last couple of months. I think he's really made that title seem important. It's felt like something you'd want. You know what I mean? It feels like whoever beats Lashley is going to look really good by beating Lashley. Like and not just down to Lashley, but down to MVP and the Hurt Business in general. Like they've been such, throughout the entirety of 2020, they were just such a good act. That whoever beats them is just going to look better for it. So I think because of just how good Lashley's been, I reckon he will get to Mania with the title. I reckon he'll drop it at Mania though. But I reckon he does get to Mania with it.
Okay.
Yeah, but I reckon this will be a really good match though. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, it like definitely three very capable in-ring performers. I just hope it doesn't get silly with Riddle. Like I want to see Riddle like wrestle and not be, Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. Like I want to see Riddle like wrestle and be the fucking badass that he can be, and not just be the designated stoner dude.
Yeah, it is kind of like you do. Like, it feels like they're trying to find the right balance with Riddle, because obviously a lot of the appeal with him is that he is a goofy stoner guy, and he is that, but like he's also a serious MMA fighter who is fully capable of kicking your head in.
But is that the appeal to him though? Is the appeal of Matt Riddle that he's a goofy kind of stoner guy? I think it's Vince's appeal to Matt Riddle.
Well, no, I think it's part of it. I think it's definitely part of it, because if he's not, like, there's ever since the kind of explosion of popularity of MMA in the last, like, say, 5-10 years, 10 years, say, there's been 1,000,001 people who've incorporated an MMA gimmick, and then you have Matt Riddle, who is in real life a really silly, goofy person, and loves the occasional giant, and like I think that is part of the appeal with him, because think about it.
Okay, maybe you're right with that, but the thing that makes the difference here is, like, okay, there's a version of that character that Matt Riddle did, and he did all around the world before he came to WWE, and then there's WWE's version of his character, of how WWE write him to be this kind of weird, goofy stoner guy, and it's just dumb. It's the only word I can describe it. Like,
Yeah,
his
I mean,
backstage
like, he does.
segments are terrible. They're terrible. Like,
Yeah, I mean, there is. Yeah, he does do. He does have some moments where you're like, oh god, this is terrible. Like, and I think you are right as well, in the sense that he WWE write him in a way where, like, they've really turned up the goofy thing to beyond 11. It's ridiculous at in some stages, but, like, yeah, I think there is a nice even balance between serious MMA kick ass Riddle and stoner Riddle. And I think that WWE probably are incapable. Well, Vince is probably incapable of ever finding that happy middle ground.
yeah. Like, because he was doing it in NXT, like,
Yeah.
the main example would be his feud with Cassius Ohno, where, like, he was still kind of a happy-go-lucky guy, but when it came down to it and Cassius Ohno pissed him off, you saw, like, what Matt Riddle can be. But at the moment, it doesn't look like that version of Matt Riddle is in him, in the character they're presenting him in.
Yeah, it just isn't.
Like,
Yeah,
I read a thing, and I think it was Mafu from Botchamania who said it. I could be wrong. If it wasn't, I'm sorry, and whoever gets the credit, I'm sorry for not remembering your name, but I think it was Mafu that said, like, Matt Riddle's current character is what Vince McMahon thinks a stoner is.
yeah.
That's what he thinks a stoner is like. When, like, it's just not like it's a very Americanized, very movie Hollywood version of what a stoner is.
It's very American Pie. Like, it's
Yeah. Like,
it's very teenage movie.
yeah, it's a strange one. Like,
well, it's just because, as well, obviously the appeal, like, or not the appeal. Well, yeah, the appeal. Like, when Riddle was coming up on the indies, right, and when he broke into professional wrestling first, and when he started, gathering, when he started gathering popularity, like, the thing was, he was this incredibly capable in-ring competitor. Like, he has, obviously, he's a former Greco-Roman wrestler. He has, a former MMA, professional MMA career where he was highly successful. And he's a phenomenal athlete in itself. Like, just as an athlete, he's top level. But he also had this very quirky, very particular personality of, like, not just like, he's a stoner and whatever, but he also has just a very laid back, very, just cool as a breeze personality that, made him appealing to fans, made him people wanted to see him, because he was this guy who, on the mic and post match and pre match, he was just cool as you like, and then as soon as between the bells, he was just, a machine.
yeah.
Kind of like if Kurt Angle was a stoner. Yeah. And obviously, when he signed, like, WWE wanted to keep what made him popular in the first place, what made them want to sign him. But, WWE as well are trying to is different in this day and age. You know, people are more educated about it and stuff, but like they're trying to make a stoner look cool to kids without encouraging them to be stoners, I guess, is the kind of
it's very Shaggy from Scooby-Doo type.
Yeah, literally.
Vibes,
yeah.
Where like any self-respecting adult would look at that and say he's a stoner, but they're not telling you he's a stoner.
Or not even a stoner, he's an idiot. Just, you know what I mean? He's just like that. Like any self-respecting adult's gonna look at him and be like, "Go away, Matt! You're like you're with your bro nuts and your whatever the hell else he said." Like he's that cousin. He's that cousin at the family barbecue who's trying to borrow money off you every time you see him.
Who just never grew up.
Yeah, trying to get you to invest in a startup, and you're just like, you still live in your van. Go away. Bro.
So who did you say you have?
I have Lashley, and you have Keith. No, you have Keith.
Keith Lee, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll move on. Before we get to the main event, we'll just briefly talk about the match that I guess isn't happening. But it has been pulled from the card officially, so we don't know for sure. But anyway, is the Raw Women's Championship match between the Raw Women's Champion Asuka defending her title against Lacey Evans. Now, the reason why I say this match isn't probably not going to, because this past Monday on Raw, Lacey announced that she was pregnant. And first of all, initial fallout, it seemed like an angle she was shooting where Charlotte was having a match and she announced halfway through the match, "Oh, Charlotte, by the way, I'm pregnant," and kind of it was never said out loud, but insinuated that Ric Flair was the father. I have to say as well, did you see WWE Creative Humor, that Twitter page? They post, I think, like when this Charlotte and Lacey feud started, whenever, like 2 months ago, whenever it was, they put out a tweet going, "This will end in Lacey getting pregnant by Ric Flair," and like they were literally so on the money with it. It was perfect.
Yeah, I didn't see that, to be fair, but yeah, that's.
And what's it called? Actually, there was a tweet as well. Charlotte, Charlotte. Becky Lynch, when Becky was feuding with Lacey 2 years ago, she put out when her and Lacey were going back and forth on Twitter, she put out a tweet that was like, tall blonde from the Carolinas asks me to bow. Are you sure? I'll have to ask if Papa Nate was, doing the tour, or ask your mom was she riding Space Mountain in the 80s or something like. Yeah. And it was like, it's really funny, to be fair. But anyway, initial fallout was it's a work. Lacey saying she's pregnant to get into Charlotte's head, and then she'll blindside her and stuff. But loads of news sites and journalists are reporting that this isn't a work, that it actually is genuine. Not that she's pregnant by Ric Flair, but that she is actually pregnant.
I can't believe you have to even put that as a disclaimer.
I mean, you never know. But I know he is a happily married man, but look, shit does happen.
Hey, it didn't stop before.
Do you know what I mean? Like, history does repeat itself. But anyway, so she is apparently pregnant with her second child. And yeah, I mean, even if you like, when she announces it herself, there's a little crack in her voice. She does seem to be genuinely emotional. Charlotte doesn't seem to know what the hell's going on. She's looking like, wait, what? Did I miss a script reading or something? What's going on? And Rick's reaction is the best, because he's looking at her going, you see him look at her going, what? Really? And she's like, yeah. And he does a big woo, and it's so funny because it's the most Ric Flair reaction. It's the most Ric Flair reaction. You just realize that he woos on a regular basis for everything.
You know what? I don't even think he even takes in the information. I think like he just waits for Lacey. He's in this trance and just waits for Lacey to stop talking, and then he just starts wooing for whatever. Like,
yeah, yeah. So yeah, Lacey hasn't come out on Twitter or anything, or she hasn't come out. WWE themselves haven't come out with any official post. And like I said, they haven't pulled the match, but it seems like this is genuine. If not, it's been very well worked by WWE. It's been very good acting for Lacey.
yeah.
But I don't know. I'm very confused. Because even in a storyline perspective, because like when you think about it, right, you'd say something now if it was Charlotte versus Lacey at Elimination Chamber, and she said she was pregnant, and then Charlotte's, automatically going to be like, all right, she's not going to wrestle me now, and then Lacey blindsides her, but it wasn't, and it wasn't like she directed the "I'm pregnant" line to Asuka. She directed it at Charlotte, so she's playing mind games with Charlotte because she's implying that her father is the father. Like, I don't see why Asuka would care about this. Asuka wouldn't care who Lacey's, doing stuff with. But it's a strange one. It's a weird, because from a kayfabe standpoint, it doesn't even make sense either.
Yeah, well, I'd imagine she's actually she's legitimately pregnant, so they kind of have.
Yeah, I mean, I would say she is, but I'm trusting the news, like the multiple news reports that she is, and saying that, trusting it that it's genuine. But like, I don't know. What I'm saying is I just hope it's not a work, that it's not a really good work, because if it is, it makes little to no sense.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. If it was to happen, I would have had Lacey win this. I thought we were going to go to Mania with Lacey and Charlotte. Doesn't look like it's going to happen now. So we had we had a conversation before we went on the air about Charlotte and Charlotte's prospects at Mania. Asuka Charlotte is the only matchup in Raw that makes sense at the moment, given positions. Like, there's no one big enough no one else big enough kind of on Raw to compete without bringing a Becky or a Ronda Rousey back. So for me, if I was to guess, it'll be Charlotte Asuka. But
yeah, I would say the same. But the question then remains. If let's say Lacey Asuka happened on Sunday and Lacey won, and we got Lacey Charlotte at Mania, like, where does Asuka then fall on the Mania card? Like, is she just relegated to the Battle Royal then straight away? Like,
I think that's the way they were going.
Like, that is such a kick in the teeth for Asuka, because like she was one of the main.
It's been the story of Asuka's career, and that's not any fault of her own. It's that they tend to use her in this role of, oh well, we have no one else. Oh, Becky is pregnant now. Need to put the title on someone. Here, give it to Asuka. Then the big shows come up, big people come back like Charlotte, and she's swept under the rug again. It's a shame, because she's very, very good, and she has been the highlight, one of the highlights, but one of the main highlights of wrestling during the pandemic. And not only that, because it's gotten easier for the wrestlers now that the Thunderdome is in there, but she was one of the wrestlers who made it very, very entertaining and used when they were wrestling at the PC to her advantage when there was absolutely no crowd, no sound other than silence and them talking. So it's a shame, but it's WWE, it's Vince. For whatever reason, like even her title run here, like they're not even
the title run's been shocking.
Yeah, it's been terrible. Like, and again, no fault of her own, because anytime she's gotten a chance to prove herself in the ring, or as a personality, she's knocked it right out of the park. It's just that they don't see a star in Asuka like everyone else does, and for some reason, I don't know why that reason is. Maybe it's the language barrier, even though she does speak good English, and not only that, like she's one of these people who doesn't need to speak so much in promos because their body language is so good. And that was one thing that was great about Shinsuke Nakamura when he came over as well, but they've kind of stripped that away from his character. So I'll never understand it. You know, they're not even like, it's just typical here. Even if this match was to happen, the Lacey Asuka match, like Asuka wasn't even in this feud. You know, it's been all about Lacey and Charlotte.
Yeah.
All about even how Lacey got the match was Charlotte. Asuka wasn't even involved. And like, to me, that's disrespectful given the length of title reign that she had. Granted, she lost it for like and won it back kind of quickly enough, but like if you compile that short absence without the title, if you kind of get rid of that, it's been a long, lengthy reign of her at the top of the Raw Women's division, and they're not even treating it as such, which doesn't make any sense to me, because even if you wanted Lacey to beat Asuka here, you should build up. Asuka has been the woman on Raw, and then once Lacey beats her, Lacey's beaten a big name like Asuka is, but they're not even treating her like a big name, you know. So I wasn't planning on going on a rant about Asuka, but there you go.
No, but like you're right, like, you know, like Asuka, you know, who said it there? Someone said it recently. I can't remember who it was. Who said it? Was it Sean Ross Sapp or Ryan Satin? Maybe, I can't remember. One of them put up a picture of Asuka when she was Kana back in Japan, and it was like, or no, and yeah, they put up that picture and they said like, I want the woman who people were afraid of in NXT. Do you know what I mean? They like, we want her back. We want her back. Like, I mean, she's still great, and it's a testament to how good she is that she's, even with all this terrible booking, that she's still quite good. But and she's still received quite well. But yeah, it's like this title reign's been shocking. Like, she hasn't defended the title at all. She went like 3 months or something without defending the title. Caught up again in the women's tag team division for some reason. Got involved.
And again, sorry for cutting you off. That whole tag team title thing was all Charlotte. She was just someone to bring Charlotte back. It was nothing about Asuka. It was nothing about. It wasn't even going to be like end up being a feud between Charlotte and Asuka. It was just, how do we bring Charlotte back? We want to bring Charlotte back as a face. We have heel tag team champions. Look, Asuka's here. Why don't Asuka have a mystery partner because she lose Lana, whatever? Like, it was all for bringing Charlotte back, and this is why Charlotte Flair, true again, no fault of her own, is I won't say disliked. Like, people just grow tired on Charlotte Flair a lot because she gets these. She again, it's tough because I love Charlotte Flair as a wrestler. I think she's one of the best women's wrestlers in the world, but you grow tired on her because they because of the booking, and like it's very John Cena booking. It's very
Yeah, that's very Roman Reigns booking, like as in Roman Reigns 2015. Like it's kind of like it's Charlotte or nothing, and
it's
you
and
could
it's unintelligent booking as well. Like a couple of weeks back, 2 or 3 weeks ago, she said something like, oh, it was in a promo. She said, oh, Lacey might be, or like my father might have been the dirtiest player of the game, but I never followed that path, which is absolute bullshit because the majority of our title reigns have been her as a heel. So, even if you want her to be this baby face, whatever, then have her state facts. Don't be blatantly lying to people. And besides that, she's not a baby face. I'm sorry. She is, like, just look at her. You take one look at that and you can't relate to that. She's one of the best athletes in the world. Like it was the same with her father when he was young, when he was in the 80s at the top of his game. You look at him and you can't relate to him. He's a level above you, and that was his character, and that's why you hated him. That's why someone like Dusty Rhodes worked so well with him, because he was a guy you could relate to. Charlotte isn't someone you could relate to. Roman Reigns isn't someone you could relate to. That's why this heel turn is working now, but it didn't for a long time. And like, this is why Charlotte Flair doesn't work as a babyface. And not only that, then her working as a babyface stifles other babyfaces. Asuka being the main one. So, like, again, I didn't want to go off on a rant about it, but it is terrible booking. Like, you look at the SmackDown women's division compared to the Raw women's division, it's night and day. There's clear, and that doesn't stop. That isn't exclusive just to the women's divisions between Raw and SmackDown. I think SmackDown and Raw in general is night and day in terms of booking, in terms of continuity, and in terms of things that fucking make sense. Like,
yeah,
it's
no,
just...
I get you. I totally get you, and I think what the issue is, and especially with Charlotte, right? Or at least one of the issues anyway, is like you have so like it's not like WWE are short on women's wrestlers, right? They have plenty of them. There's plenty of talented women working both shows, and there's plenty down in NXT as well. Like NXT is a perfect example because NXT have arguably the best women's division in the world right now. It's up there definitely, and like there's constantly there's usually various women's feuds going on, that are high profile, that are must see, that are captivating, and no matter who the champion is, there's always at least 3 or 4 viable contenders all the time that you don't actually, like, in between takeovers, you don't know who the next challenger is going to be. Like Io Shirai is the current champion now. It seems like she's still in a feud with Toni Storm right now, but she still has maybe 3 or 4 other challengers that could step into that feud straight away, and it would make sense, and it would be just as big, just as high profile. But I think one of the main issues with Charlotte is you have your Raw women's division, and they want Charlotte to look good. They want Charlotte to look, feel, sound, perform like a star. And one of their primary methods of doing that is she beats everyone in pointless matchups. Like, I understand, like, this may sound stupid, but I understand it's a wrestling show, but she doesn't have to wrestle every week. You know what I mean? You don't have to have Charlotte wrestle every week. And like, I think,
and that was the whole thing that ruined the NXT run. Like,
yeah, like
it was like a thing where, sorry not to cut you off, but like,
no, you're fine.
The whole thing about NXT when she beat Rhea that time was what they were saying was, oh, she'll be on NXT now. It'll bring ratings. Like, people will go to NXT to watch her. but that only works if she's exclusively on NXT. Why would I? What incentive do I have to go on Wednesday night to tune in to watch Charlotte Flair when I can tune in on Monday night and she's on Raw, Friday night and she's on SmackDown, Sunday night she's on a pay-per-view, and Wednesday night again? I have a choice of 4 days to see Charlotte Flair. 4 days in 1 week of a month, 3 days in another week of a month, because they just wouldn't take her off Raw or SmackDown. People grew tired of her because she's on every fucking show. And then, not only that, what they were saying was, oh, well, you know, she'll take the title, you know, she'll work with the stars down in NXT, she'll make a few stars and go back up then when she's done. Made nobody, didn't lose the belt, and there's been reports of, you know, that was Vince's call. That's fair enough. You know, I don't doubt that. And, you know, there's tension between NXT and like all the reports out there. But it doesn't help Charlotte. It does, like, all this accumulative stuff. And like one thing we talked about before we went on air as well was the fact that she was like WrestleMania 2 years ago, she was shoehorned into a main event. Because even though it was clearly Ronda and Becky's time, it was clearly Ronda and Becky was the match to make. They were just like, okay, we'll give you that, but you have to take this as well. You have to take Charlotte. You know, like it's
like you got to take if you go out, you got to take a younger brother with you.
Yeah, that's literally what it is. You can go, but you have to take your little brother. That's what it's like.
And like. It's actually, it was literally the fact that it was the first all women's main event in WrestleMania history. The first time the women were closing the show, and they had to get Charlotte in there because it was Charlotte. Like they were like, we can't. There can't be a reason why Charlotte isn't in the first ever women's main event at Mania.
Yeah,
and
like, fans see through that, and that's why fans resent it then.
Yeah, and like you look at the match that they had, and like it wasn't awful, but it was, you know, the feud, the build up, it went kind of off the rails towards the end there, and like, you know, it was a case of WWE overcomplicating a very natural, very simple storyline. And when I say simple, that doesn't mean it's bad. It means that it makes sense and that it was obvious in a good way. And like we've talked about it before, that sometimes obvious and like the most obvious answer is the right one. But like I was saying, like you have like perfect example right now with Charlotte, right? So when Charlotte's on TV, she's beating everyone. She beats everyone. She's like, for the last 4 weeks, she's been wrestling Peyton Royce in some capacity on Raw and beating her like every time for some reason.
Yeah.
And right, rewind a couple of months back when she was out, when she took that little 6 month absence, you like Asuka was the champion. You had you had Sasha and Bayley, who were kind of controlling both brands at the minute because they were obviously trying to make up rosters and whatever. But primarily on Raw, Asuka was the top dog, right? Asuka was champion. She was, and like her next feud, like she was feuding primarily with the women's tag team champions, Nia and Shayna, who were arguably the next biggest women's stars who were available on Raw at the time. But just because they also had belts, it was just like they were like, oh, we got to give Asuka a tag partner. Who's available? Lana. Let's put Lana in there, because like that's literally, and like that's not a knock on Lana. I know she, to be fair to her, she's worked immensely hard over the last year to kind of pull herself away from the character that she is most associated with, but and she's really taken her licks as well. But
she's not Asuka.
She's not main event. She's not main event. She has no right really to be in conversation with the Raw Women's Champion, because she hasn't been presented as such. She had like, let's say even next week, right? Let's say next week they book Peyton Royce versus Lana on Raw. Lana goes over clean. What difference will it make? Because Peyton's been beaten by Charlotte, 10 times. We obviously know that Lana's not beating Charlotte. So what difference would it make?
Yeah.
Like you inadvertently annihilate your own division by having one person dominate the division. And the problem, and then the obvious answer then you have is you put Charlotte as champion. You have Charlotte top the card, and then have someone come up and topple her, and that puts over that's how you put over new stars. But like then you have the issue of Charlotte will have periods where she's not champion. And it's a very tricky situation, especially when she's babyface. It's even hard, it's even worse.
It kind of works when she's a heel, because then at least
at least you're booing her anyway.
When you're presenting her as a babyface, it makes no sense. And it's the same with Roman, which is why Roman works so well as a heel now, because he's getting all these opportunities. He's getting the advantages, but now it makes sense because he's a heel. But this whole Elimination Chamber thing, would have been something they would have done with him as a babyface.
I was going to say, they would have done this if he was a babyface anyway.
He did the whole thing of taking the rest in the Rumble and stuff like that when he was a babyface, and that's a heel spot.
Yeah, not even taking a rest. He went away for an hour.
And came back.
I'm sure I was listening to a list by Adam Blampier actually recently enough, and he said there's a period in, I think it's that match. I think it is the 2016 Rumble where he was defending the title. There's a period where he's on the floor, motionless, not moving for 7 minutes. He just isn't moving at all for not even a stir, not even a selling. He's just literally dead on the floor for 7 minutes. And it wasn't like he got hit with a truck. It was he got put through the announce table, which happens every other week on wrestling. Yeah. But anyway, that's probably enough talking about a match that probably won't happen. Anyway, we'll move on to the main event, which is the Elimination Chamber match for the WWE Championship. It is the WWE Champion Drew McIntyre defending his title against, who's he defending it against? Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Jeff Hardy, Sheamus, and Kofi Kingston. The whole kind of storyline behind this is that it's Drew versus 5 former world champions, 5 former WWE champions. It was originally meant to be The Miz, but he pulled himself from the match because he said it was pointless him competing with 5 other guys for the WWE title when he literally has a guaranteed opportunity whenever he wants it, which is the most sensible thing The Miz has said in about 3 years.
You just know as well that they booked him in that match, and it was him that said, "Hold on, why does this make sense?" And then he was the one that got to go change it. Yeah,
no, it's true, and he probably did. So then Kofi Kingston I think Kofi beat him. Kofi beat him on Raw to qualify. And God, I hate WWE's Twitter pages because they're all like, "Is Kofi Mania 2 going to happen?" Obviously not. Not saying that because it's Kofi, but because it's WWE, and they're not going to. Kofi isn't going to be in the title picture for Mania. Let's face facts. As much as everyone would want that, and we all would want that because Kofi is just the sweetest man to ever have existed. But it's don't say those things just to tease us.
Yeah.
Anyway, I digress. So yeah, main event: McIntyre, Styles, Hardy, Orton, Sheamus, Kingston. Who do you have in mind?
Okay. I obviously have Drew McIntyre. That goes without saying. But one thing I will say is I don't think Kofi Kingston's actually going to be in the match. I think
Ali.
Yeah, I think he's going to be attacked by Ali because it makes so much sense because 2 years ago Kofi replaced Ali in the chamber, and it led to Kofi Mania. So it makes so much sense then that Jesus, hold on. That Ali replaces Kofi, and so yeah, I think we're going to get a Kofi and Ali feud, as it looks like building to Mania. So as a result, that's the only kind of, we might get something with Orton and the Fiend, or Orton and Alexa, and that's how he gets eliminated from this.
I imagine you saw Alexa's video package on Raw this week.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it seems like they are teasing that the Fiend is returning soon.
Yeah.
Could be here. It could be at Fastlane. It could be anywhere in between. But yeah. I saw some people though, when this match first got announced, being like, what if Orton wins and they do Orton Edge at Mania again? Edge picks Orton, but I think that's highly unlikely now.
No, we're gonna get the Fiend and Orton at Mania.
Yeah.
Yeah. We spent so long on the last match now, I'm conscious that we don't spend too much time on this. You know, Drew is winning.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
Drew is winning. Drew's going to Mania like that. There's no ifs or buts about it.
Yeah. But who he faces remains to be seen. And
right. Before we get into it, that was probably the toughest match for me to decide at Mania. I had an original option that I then changed last minute for another option that I know probably can't happen. I had a feasible one that could happen, that genuinely could happen, and I went for a more outlandish one. But yeah, his match is the hardest one for me to call at Mania. I genuinely don't know who he's going to face.
Yeah, it's a weird one. I have picked someone.
Okay.
So it's interesting one because they haven't really teased anything, or they haven't really set up anything.
There's been no like little interaction that's been kind of.
I know they did the Sheamus thing and stuff, which could happen, but I don't know. I think it's a big stretch to get Sheamus in the main event at the moment. I have the match anyway. I have my match.
Yeah.
For WrestleMania, but we will talk the whole card. So, did you split yours between night 1 and night 2, or?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Okay, so
I had no rhyme or reason for it.
I didn't really either. I just kind of split them up.
Yeah.
And went from there.
And we did keep a rule that it was 6 matches per night, 12 matches in total.
I thought we said 7 matches.
No, 6 I thought. But look, if
I have 7.
Yeah.
To be fair, I looked last year. There was 19 matches in total at WrestleMania last year. So
yeah, I mean, like 6 is actually a stretch. It's gonna be way more.
Yeah.
I tried to do like say 3 and 3, like 3 Raw, 3 SmackDown per night. But I don't think I did. No, I don't think I didn't. But yeah. Suppose we'll get on with it, will we?
Yep.
How do you want to do this? Do you want to do?
We'll do night 1, and we'll start with our first match, and then we'll both do our first match and our second match and our third.
Okay.
From there.
Yeah, because that was the thing as well. I did order these in how I would have them appear on the card.
Yeah, I did as well.
So do you want to go first, or will I go first?
You can go first.
Okay. So night 1, I was trying to think what's the perfect way to open night one, and I figured why not a big old tag team match to open the card. Just because, right, I tried to fit both tag titles into Mania and I couldn't. I just genuinely couldn't.
I managed to be fair.
Right. So yeah, I was trying to think of how I was going to fit two tag title matches into Mania, right? So the SmackDown tag titles got the cut. They're not going to be on this card. But just a bit of background, what I was, so by this point in my head, in my reality, the Usos have taken the SmackDown tag title, like Jimmy has fully returned, and they've taken the tag titles from Ziggler and Rude at some point along the line. The match I was originally going to do was I was going to do the Usos defending the SmackDown tag titles against the team of Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, because I think that would be quite good. But I thought that's a bit of a waste of Cesaro and Daniel Bryan, especially Daniel Bryan. So yeah, I decided, look, they don't need to be defended. I'll axe that. So now the Raw Tag Team Championships have made it to the match. The match I decided was the Hurt Business, the champions, Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, defending their titles against the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston, defending their titles against Retribution, Mustafa Ali, and...
I'll stop you right there because we have the exact same match.
Really?
Not in the same order. But mine's actually on night 2, but I have the exact same match down here.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
My only thing was I was between two, so I was either going to do Ali and one of the other guys in Retribution, T-Bear, Mace, or who's the other guy, Slapjack. One of them. But I decided, no. Do you know what I'm going to do? None of those guys really work as a partner for Ali. They're all subordinates, you know. So I decided to pick a guy with an equally silly name who would pair really well with Ali, and that man is Ricochet. Ricochet would finally join Retribution. He already has his name picked out. He would team with Ali, and the two of them would take. I would have them go over here as well and take the Raw tag titles.
Yeah, but you'd be like, your wishful thinking to say that they wouldn't change Ricochet's name to like I don't know, Spring or Slinky
Bounce.
or something that bounces. Like
just bounce.
Yeah, like something stupid like that. But yeah, and who did you say you'd have take the titles?
I'd have Retribution go over.
Retribution.
Just because, well, like the only thing here would be that it would be two heels. Ricochet would be heel by this point, but two heels winning on the first match of the first night of Mania, which is probably the wrong thing to do. But you know, and the fact that there's only one babyface team in there in the New Day.
Yeah.
But look, anyway, fuck it. Just because, you know, Retribution, I mean, they suck, but you know, give them a break. Come on, they try hard. Ali tries really hard. He's really. Yeah.
I feel bad for him really, but yeah. So my opening match of the first night actually includes the SmackDown Tag Team titles, and it is Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode versus the Street Profits to kick off night 1 of WrestleMania, with the Street Profits regaining the tag team titles.
Okay, yeah, fair. Big baby
that could genuinely be a pre-show match as well. You wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Like for my cards here, I just presumed that the men's and women's battle royals were on the pre-show. I didn't include them.
I include them for the sake of getting everyone on the card.
Fair enough.
Anyone who I couldn't think of an actual match for, I put them in the battle royal.
Okay.
Yeah. Fair, yeah. So yeah, I don't know. Like Ziggler and Rude, they don't do it for me anymore. Like, Rude, ever since he came up to the main roster, has been just dead fish, and Ziggler is just beyond saving now at this point.
Yeah.
And the Street Profits are good, but they're just not. I'm just not feeling them. Like I find it very hard to get invested in a Street Profits match. Even when they were in NXT, I wasn't the biggest fan of them. And it's not just because of Angelo Dawkins. I know like that's no, I know, but like I know that's the obvious thing people would say is that like, oh, Montez is really good and Angelo is, not as good. But which is fair. I mean, I think Montez is obviously is the standout guy of the two of them. But even at that, just even as a team, I can't like their NXT tag title reign didn't excite me at all. I didn't even want them to win the match. Their Raw and SmackDown tag title reigns. Granted, their Raw tag title reign was besmirched by the fact that they had to do it in a pandemic and they really had to, make the best of a bad situation. But yeah, just I don't know. I can't get on board with the Street Profits. I really tried for the longest time, and I just can't. They just don't do it for me. I like Montez Ford. I think he has potential. Angelo probably has something to do. I'm sorry, Angelo, if you're listening, but look, you just don't do it for me, man. Yeah, I don't know, but I just can't. I can't with the Street Profits. I know what it is about them, but I just can't.
Yeah, it's a strange one. So we'll move on to match 2.
Yeah.
Go on.
No, okay. So my next match was the United States Championship match. I said earlier that I'd have Lashley take the title to Mania, and I do.
Yeah.
It's Bobby Lashley defending his title against Riddle in a submission match.
Okay.
I was going to have. I was so tempted to make this a fight pit, but then I was like, "How they're not going to be able to do that at Mania and lift it off the ring and stuff."
Yeah, but you're forgetting the fact that Mania is a smaller crowd, so they can easily build another set off the stadium somewhere.
Yeah, true. They could do this match in the what's it called, the PC or something. Yeah, but look, I'll try and keep it. I'll try and keep it in the one venue, and yeah, I'd have Lashley Riddle in a submission match and just have them literally just do like a blood sport type match. Just have them. Both guys are, both guys have amateur backgrounds. Both guys have MMA experience. Just literally have them go out there and do, a shoot work fight. Like, and I'd have Riddle go over. Okay. I'd have him take the title. I'd have him make Lashley tap. I don't think Lashley's above that. I think you could make him tap and he wouldn't be hurt by it. But yeah, I think a submission match between the two of them would be quite good.
Yeah. My next pick is actually also the United States title match, but I went for a multi-man ladder match.
Okay.
It's WrestleMania. They always have to fit one in.
Yeah.
I went Riddle, Keith Lee, who I said was going to win on Sunday, so he would still be the champion. So it's Riddle, Keith Lee, MVP, Ricochet, AJ Styles, and Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, solid. I like the fact that you have MVP in there and not Lashley.
Yeah. And there's a reason. There's a reason for that.
Oh, okay.
I will get into later.
But, I think I know where you're going with it, but all right.
So
let me just say, I think the match that you may have for Lashley might be for SummerSlam. Let's put it that way.
For SummerSlam.
Yeah. If you have the same match that I'm thinking of.
Okay. I don't know what you mean by that, but anyway, go on. We'll.
I don't think it'll happen in Mania. I think if it's going to happen this year, it'll be SummerSlam.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we'll move on to the third match of
third night of night one. Yeah.
Yep.
So mine, I just had the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. I'm not going to list who was in it, just anyone who's not on the card. And I said to you before we started recording, I think, that I have Otis win the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal because someone serious can't win it because it's not a serious thing. It's a stupid trophy that means nothing. So let's just have some stupid guy who also means nothing win it.
Yeah.
Sorry, Otis, but look, come on. You're up to nothing. Plus, you can do something with Chad Gable there. Maybe it comes down to Otis and Gable's like, go on, hop over the ropes, do solid. And Otis is like, nah, sorry, bud, and launches him over. But look, it's not even a mid-card trophy. It's a bottom card, lower card, undercard trophy. So yeah, that's literally I got stuck at this point. I was trying to think because I had like what I wanted for like the main event stuff, but then names in my head started popping up of guys who should be on the card, and I was trying to think of matches for them. You'll see that in my next match. The Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal.
Yeah, I haven't put much thought into the Battle Royal, as I said, mine's on the pre-show, so I don't know who would have win. Off the top of my head, the biggest name that I kind of have in it would be Sheamus. So I go Sheamus, maybe.
See, yeah, okay, go on anyway.
Yeah, I don't know. My next match is The Miz and John Marston versus Damien Priest and Bad Bunny.
Yeah, I actually forgot about that.
Yeah, that's gonna happen at Mania, isn't it?
Yeah, that is gonna happen. It's not confirmed or not, but like that's 100% gonna happen.
Yeah. Like the only question with it is if it's gonna be Damien Priest or Booker T.
It'll be Priest.
Yeah. I think Booker T could still be involved though. He could either be their manager or he could be the guest referee.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Booker T involved, and John Morrison taking a scissors kick or something like that.
Yeah, maybe afterwards, maybe Bad Bunny rolls up the Miz or something, and then afterwards they're beating him down, and Booker makes a save, and then they all do spitteroonies.
Yeah, something like that.
That's literally just a Mania thing to do. Yeah, I actually forgot about this match completely, but it is going to happen. I have no doubt in my mind that it will.
Yeah.
To be fair to Bad Bunny though, like fair play to him. Like the man is absolutely killing it. Like he's been one of the better celebrities.
Yeah.
In WWE, he is absolutely dominating the merch sales as well. He hit $500 million this week, $500 million in merch sales this week.
Jesus, yeah,
which is insane. Considering that he's only had merch since last month.
That's like Austin levels of merch. That is crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, I actually completely forgot about this match, but yeah, that's gonna happen. Okay. My next match is this was the match, right? So it originally started as a singles match, and then it morphed into a fatal 4-way because this was guys who were too good to be in the Battle Royal.
I actually have a match very, very similar on night 2. I don't know who's your competitors, but I had a match where I was like, at the end of it, I was like, wait, there's these 4 guys, and I'm like, they can't be on the pre-show.
Yeah, no, so it's not. Okay, it's not. I know it's not the same guys as you because you've named 3 of them so far.
Okay.
So my four guys is it'll be Keith Lee versus Braun Strowman versus AJ Styles versus Sheamus for number one contendership for the WWE title. Winner gets a WWE title match down the road. Because this was originally, because I remember I completely forgot about Keith Lee and Braun before this. So then I was like, fuck, just let them wrestle each other. And big Haas match in the middle of the card. And then I was like, so I had Keith Lee and Braun 1-on-1. And it wasn't going to be for number one contender or anything. It was just going to be a singles match. And then for some reason, I completely forgot about AJ Styles. I was like,
I did as well. I forgot about AJ, and then I had the ladder match, and I was like, well, I suppose he can just go on there.
Yeah,
I completely forgot about AJ.
Yeah, and my thing was the only reason I remembered him is because I was nearly going to do Keith Lee versus Braun versus Omos, just to have Omos in there.
Yeah.
And then I went, oh shit, yeah, there's AJ. So I had to swiftly put AJ in there. So then it became a triple threat. And then I had Sheamus. So I had Sheamus wrestling Drew in the main event of night one. But then I went, it probably won't happen. Not that it won't happen because it's obviously a fantasy card. But I was also like, it doesn't feel like a Mania match now. So. Yeah. I took Sheamus out, and I didn't want to put him in the battle royal because I feel like he's been really good as well over the last couple of months. So I said, make it a fatal 4-way, make it for number one contender, and yeah, nice fun match there in the middle of the card.
Yeah. Okay. My next match is a match. I originally had a different match, but then I kind of was reminded of that they've sort of teased this match on Raw recently. So my next match is Braun Strowman versus Shane McMahon.
Oh yes, they did tease this.
Yeah. And there has been reports that Shane McMahon's getting a high profile match at this year's WrestleMania. And like, if anyone is gonna bump for Braun Strowman, my God, is it going to be Shane McMahon? He'll
cripple himself anywhere or last man standing or something.
Yeah, that's what I had. I had a false count anywhere. Shane McMahon, Braun Strowman. That would be an interesting match. It'd be interesting just to see.
Yeah, I'd want to see it.
Yeah. So I have. So that's the match I have. I originally, and I just pulled this match completely out of my ass until I realized then that they'd started the Braun Strowman Shane McMahon thing. I originally had Shane McMahon versus Goldberg because I just wanted to see Shane McMahon take a spear from Goldberg, but I opted then because it made more sense to go Braun Strowman Shane McMahon.
Yeah, no, I'd much rather see Braun and Shane.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. So yeah, that match probably will happen too. That's the thing. Moving on. My next match is the co-main event. This is the Smackdown Women's Championship match, and it is obviously Smasha Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair, the Women's Royal Rumble winner. Yeah, Sasha versus Bianca. No, not a lot of thought behind this other than it's the match that makes the most sense. It's the match I want to see the most. I think it'll be an amazing match. It genuinely could steal the whole of the card. And yeah, I'd have Bianca go over as well. Bianca wins.
Yeah, I've that match on night 2. I think that is the match. So I've said this multiple times now that I think that match could genuinely steal the whole weekend. I think there's a huge prospect for that match. So I'll be interested to see what happens there. And having said that, my next match is also the co-main event. And it's also a women's match, but it's the Raw women's match. It is Asuka versus Charlotte.
Yeah, I have that match on night 2. I have that night 2.
It's the only match that makes sense. We've spent enough time talking about Charlotte and Asuka today, and we're not going to go back to it. So we're going to move on. The main event of night 1 of WrestleMania this year, Billy. What do you have?
So it's the WWE Championship. So like I said,
also the WWE Championship.
Okay. So it was originally Drew McIntyre versus Sheamus, and then I decided to take Sheamus out in favor of a somewhat bigger star, because it is Mania, and then I also figured they are apparently putting some legends in the card. I don't think this match will happen though. It doesn't seem very likely that it will. But I was very stuck for an opponent for Drew. So my main event of night 1 is Drew McIntyre versus John Cena.
That is a WrestleMania match. Like that, I think if they could make that match happen, they would. But I don't think they can.
Yeah, I know they can't. It doesn't seem actually possible to make.
To be fair, if they could, I think they would have already started building to it. I think they would have started building to that match if they could. So I don't think that's going to be the match. That would be one of the matches I would like to see. However, the match I have is Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley.
Okay, that's not the match I thought you were going to say for Bobby.
What was the match you thought I was going to say for Bobby?
Bobby and Brock.
I know. I don't think Brock's going to be on this card. Again, if Brock was going to be on this card, they'd already be pushing for it, or they'd already be kind of promoting it. I don't think Brock's going to be on this Mania card. I think it's going to be Drew and Lashley. I think hence why I had Lashley lose the US title on Sunday, and plus it's in a triple threat match, so he doesn't take the loss. Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business. Go on.
No, I was going to say why Lashley, because like we've already seen the match.
Yeah.
As in like they've already feuded.
I know.
But what? Go on anyway.
I think he's shown a different side now. He's more aggressive with Riddle and the last couple of weeks. They're kind of doing this thing now with the Hurt Business where he's kind of becoming this out of control monster type thing. And not only that, like the Hurt Business has been the most consistent and oftentimes the best thing about Raw in the last year. And like I think wrestling if you should be rewarded for you're not always, but I think they're in a situation now where they kind of have to play with the toys that they have, let's say, more than toys that they want. Like, I don't think they have Brock. They've done Goldberg now with Drew. Cena, like you said, would be a great match. I don't think it'll happen this year. Maybe next year's WrestleMania. I don't think it's gonna happen this year. I think their hands are tied now in terms of
who's available,
and and plus, like, I understand the likes of why the likes of John Cena or like the likes of The Rock or all these big stars don't want to wrestle at the moment in the middle of a global pandemic, because if they get COVID or injured or whatever, like it halts a lot of projects that are going on. So I think WWE are forced to look internally, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. And at the moment, in terms of heels on Raw, who've been consistent throughout the last year and who can give Drew McIntyre the best match, I think it's Bobby Lashley. So that's my argument. I rest my case.
To to be honest, you're not the first person I've heard say that.
Yeah.
As in it's going to be that they'd like to see Drew and Bobby at Mania.
Yeah.
I can't remember who said it. I think it was one of the Cultaholic guys. Said it on a podcast.
I think Bobby Ray Dudley said it as well.
Did he?
I can't. Whatever.
Yeah. I think it's been floated around a few times because, like I said, when we were talking about Elimination Chamber, like Bobby Lashley has been amazing with the United States title. I think he's really shown, you know, how capable he is. Like, obviously when he came back 3 years ago now, or was it 4 years ago? I can't remember. But when he came back after, you know, being away for so long, he was a baby face immediately. It didn't work because Bobby Lashley because again, similar to like what we said with Roman and Charlotte, how the hell are you meant to relate to Bobby Lashley? Like, look at him. He's an actual colossus. How are you meant to, like, plus he's like, what, like 45 and he still looks like that. Like, what are you meant to, like, how are you meant to relate to that guy? And then he went out and he you know, and then obviously he eventually turned heel and it's been way better. And the Hurt Business was just they essentially made an Impact Bobby Lashley, which was the best version of him. And like, even the fact, like, he was even paired with MVP back in Impact 2, which, you know, it just shows that it works. It's just a thing that works. So yeah. Would you have Bobby going over, or would Drew retain?
No, I'd have Drew beating him, but I think he's a good opponent for Drew to beat. I think Drew beating Bobby doesn't hurt Bobby either, because, you know, he's lost to Drew already, and, you know, it didn't really affect him. And he can go down. There's plenty of people for him on the roster to wrestle and feud with. So I just think that's the match at the moment, unless something opens up. Unless, you know, you might get a John Cena. You know, you may get a Brock. You may get a, I don't know. They might coax Undertaker to retirement. You wouldn't know. But at the moment, I think with the people that they have and looking at who's available for Mania, I think it's going to be Bobby Lashley.
Interesting. Yeah, fair enough.
So that concludes night 1.
Yeah.
We'll get into night 2 now. Do you want to talk about your opening match for night 2?
I will. Similar to you, I figured that there will be a multi-man ladder match on the card somewhere. And that's my opener for night 2, except mine is for the Intercontinental ladder match. The Intercontinental Championship, rather. I have Biggie, champion, defending against Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Seth Rollins, Shinsuke Nakamura, Daniel Bryan, and Cesaro.
Okay.
Because when you look at it, SmackDown have an unbelievable upper mid card. They have just like a fantastic upper mid card there. Like, just look at all those names I just mentioned. Any combination of those guys in a singles match is just an already amazing match. In terms of who I think wins, plus I was also trying to think of how to get like Kevin Owens on the card, how to get Seth Rollins on the card, how to get Daniel Bryan on the card. In terms of who I think wins, maybe Kevin Owens, just because he's lost so much recently.
Yeah.
I don't know though. Like that now, it's an unpredictable match. You can make a case for any of them. Seth is just back. You can make a case for him taking it. Plus, if he has the Intercontinental title, it means he's not going to be anywhere near the main card or the main event, where Roman's
or the Mysterios.
or the Mysterios. Yeah, you can make an argument for Cesaro, who seems to be on the verge of a little mini push. But yeah, you can make an argument for any one of these guys to win. But yeah, that's my opening match, because I think I genuinely think we'll get a multi-man Intercontinental match at Mania, and I think it'll be some combination of all those guys, whether it's, you know, lacking a few of them or whatever. But yeah, that's my opening match.
My opening match is the women's tag team titles. It's Nia and Shayna
versus Raquel Gonzalez and Dakota Kai versus the Riot Squad, which would be Ruby Riot and Billie Kay, and
Yeah.
the team of Bailey and Carmella.
Okay. Now, just so are you? Just want to say as well. So you know that they announced Shayna and Nia versus Raquel and Dakota for like 2 weeks time on NXT.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're not using this as their
No.
title.
I know that match is happening. I think
Okay.
Nia and Shayna win that via like shenanigans or something like that. Establishes Raquel and Dakota as a babyface team, like they're kind of leaning towards now, and we're off to the races then. And then I just threw the Riot Squad and Bailey Carmella in there because I think they deserve to be on the card and not in the women's battle royal. So as a result, I'm going to go Raquel and Dakota to win.
Yeah, they should win.
They should definitely win. And yeah, and I do it as an elimination, so they'd have to beat everyone and establish them as a babyface team again. So and I'd have Dakota pin Shayna. Win,
Yeah.
Because
Perfect.
it goes back to that their NXT feud. So yeah, that's my opening match.
Yeah, no, perfect. That sounds good. I actually haven't included the women's tag titles on the card just because I always forget about them. But yeah, no, that sounds good. My next match is the Raw Women's Title, Asuka versus Charlotte. I don't need to say any more about that. So
cool. My next match is quite similar to what you were saying earlier about a match where you just had to get people in, and I literally right now just made it a 5-way because you reminded me of someone that I forgot to put on the card. So it's now a 5-way for number one contendership for the WWE title, and it's Seth Rollins versus Daniel Bryan versus Kevin Owens versus Cesaro versus Shinsuke Nakamura.
do you mean the Universal title?
Or the Universal title, sorry.
Universal
title.
Yeah.
Like,
which one did I remind you of?
Nakamura. Yeah. I kind of forgot about him. And plus, how he's been recently, he deserves to be on the card. So
yeah, I think it'll be an actual crime if Nakamura and Cesaro don't get on the card. Yeah. Like the two of them have been in absolute insane form recently. Like they fully deserve spaces. Even if they just wrestle each other, I'd be up for that.
But, and even at that, I wouldn't be opposed making it a 6-man either and putting Sami Zayn in this.
Yeah.
Like you could easily do that. But anyway, we'll move on. Who do you have next?
My next match is the Women's Battle Royal. Again, just to get everyone who I did mention already on the card. And the winner of that match, I was originally going to make it Lana, just because, why not? But I've since changed it, and now I want Billie Kay to win because Billie Kay is the best.
Cool. Yeah, makes sense. I'd say I'd go Peyton Royce to win the Women's Battle Royal. No, actually, I don't. I go Rhea Ripley. I forgot to put Rhea on the card.
Yeah, I forgot about her too, actually.
Yeah, so Rhea Ripley to win the Battle Royal. My next match, we've already talked about Bianca and Sasha.
Okay.
Not much more to say. We've said it. We've talked about it already, but really looking forward to this match. This match, I'm 95% certain is going to happen. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah. My next one is kind of out of left field, a little bit. It's probably of all and never mind. I've Drew and John Cena on the card, but besides that, it's probably the least likely one to happen. I would say. It is the NXT Championship match between NXT champion Finn Balor defending his title against Karrion Kross. Now, my thinking behind this was, I was originally thinking, okay, 4-way, Balor, Kross, Cole, O'Reilly. Then I went, nah, it's got to be Cole and O'Reilly and in their own feud. And then I was thinking there probably will be a takeover the Friday night, I say. But I think Cole O'Reilly should headline that card by themselves. I think that's how good the story will be, and that's how much the feud matters, like, because it is the implosion of one of the best factions in wrestling history.
Yeah.
It's simple as. So I decided to sack off the NXT Championship being on the takeover and instead move it to Mania, because can you imagine Finn Balor and Karrion Kross's dueling entrances coming down WrestleMania, especially the fact that it's going to be in a stadium. They are going to have a big stage to do it on. There is going to be fans there. Like, I just want to see Karrion Kross's entrance at WrestleMania as soon as possible. And plus, I'd have Karrion Kross go over here too, and it would just be a huge introduction of him to the rest of the world that hasn't seen him already. And yeah, I'd have Kross take the win here, and I because I'm also judging this off rumors as well that apparently the NXT title will be defended at the card.
Yeah, I didn't put the NXT title on the card. I'll admit that. Maybe I should have. I really want that match, Kross and Balor. If I was to do it, I'd have Balor as the demon, and I'd still have Kross beat him.
Yeah, that'd be good.
That'd be huge for Karrion Kross. So, yeah, I'm all for that match. My next match is for the Intercontinental title. It's Biggie versus Christian.
Finally get it.
We finally get it.
What, 9 years later?
Yeah, they've kind of teased it. Like, Biggie has said that Christian's now on his radar, and Christian said he'd love to have a match with Biggie. I think it'll be a match where there'll be no kind of heels or faces. It'll just be mano a mano, best man win. And I think Biggie will get a big win over Christian, and it'd be nice to get Christian back. He's cleared now, so he's able to wrestle. So why not have him on the card? So I'll go Biggie versus Christian with Biggie winning.
Yeah, fair enough. I mean, they are teasing it. Christian hasn't confirmed anything about if he's going to, be back or whatever, but yeah. Fair enough. My next match is, I have a feeling you probably have the same match. It is The Fiend versus Randy Orton in a Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah, so just before we say that, because we've already talked about the match I have next, which is the Hurt Business New Day and Retribution. My next match then after that is The Fiend versus Randy Orton. So might as well talk about it now. What the fuck's this going to be?
A recap of Randy Orton's career, probably. Yeah, surely. I mean, like, just have it be the same as the Cena one, but just with Randy Orton, obviously. And like, I would get Triple H in, I would get Batista in, I would get Ric Flair in to be Evolution. I would, if it was possible to get Cody Rhodes and Ted DiBiase in, I would too. Obviously, that probably won't happen. I would have Alexa Bliss stand in as like Stacy Keibler and take like an RKO. I'd get McFoley in.
I'd bring Mark Jindrak in.
Yeah. I'd get Cowboy Bob to come in. Get the Undertaker in. Get everyone in. Get everyone in for this, and just like
do a spot where Bray comes out with his hand down his pants and then tries to shake Randy Orton's hand.
Yeah, or I think the genuine possibilities for this are endless. Like, it's
You know who you bring in for that?
Who?
Snoop Dogg.
Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, did you see the Randy Orton thing he posted this week?
Oh yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, definitely. Yeah, I think that like it has to be, surely has to be. And then it ends with Orton just fading into
That
whatever.
pit where John Cena lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just remains there for a while until he's come back. But yeah, it has to be that match. Although, like, otherwise, what's been the point? And finally, my main event of night 2,
and also my main event of night 2.
Yeah, it is Roman Reigns versus Edge for
Yeah.
the Universal Championship.
Yeah.
Edge basically confirmed that this is the match this week. I don't know if you saw this, but he was on some talk show, some podcast, whatever, and he was they asked him when he went out injured, who did he want to face? Like when he was sitting at home, who did he want to face most? Who did he who did he see of the new crop that he figured, I'd have the best match with them? And he said Roman Reigns. So that is a very on the nose remark to make when there could be a Roman Reigns match in the very near future for him.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd say something like that without probable cause, you know. So yeah, that is the match. I can't decide. Okay, obviously this match can either end one of two ways. It can end with big happy ending, Edge wins, you know, the redemption arc is complete and he gets a title back. Or Roman Reigns snaps his neck.
I think it ends with Edge winning.
I kind of want Roman to kill him.
No, I think this ends with Edge winning, and then it's a short-lived reign with Roman winning it back and then putting him out of action.
You know how the only way I'm up for Edge winning this, right? I'm not against it, but the one thing that would put it over the top for me, Edge wins. He's handed the Universal Championship, and he's like, "Yeah, this is alright," but he throws it away and takes out the big gold belt. And
yeah, maybe, but
he's like, I want this one.
Yeah, I think Edge is gonna win here. And like I said, I think then they'll have a rematch at Extreme Rules or whatever the next pay-per-view is, and they'll restore order in Roman regaining the title.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think it's fair to say we have a good few matches there, similar. So
that are likely to happen at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see how many we actually do get right. We'll report back after the Mania card is fully announced as to how many we got right and wrong. But it'll be an interesting one. I think, like, you know, the reason I said we'd predict the cards more so than book them ourselves is I wanted to keep it as realistic as possible. And I think we did.
Yeah.
To an extent. Like, the only kind of outlandish ones, like, we had, like you said, Drew and John Cena, and that's not even out of the realm of possibility. Like, that could genuinely happen.
I that's the one that I'm, like I said, it's probably least likely to happen.
It still could happen. Like, you never know. Like, it's not as if
I'd never write off Cena.
Yeah, it's not as if we were on here going, "Oh, we do Drew versus CM Punk." You know, like it's realistic. You know, but yeah. Before we close off, we'd be remiss to mention that there's a goddamn explosive barbed wire match happening on American soil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone is gonna get hurt. Oh God.
I have to think that this is Moxley's idea.
You wouldn't know though, because Kenny is, Kenny loves Japanese wrestling as well. Like you wouldn't know. And Kenny's a psychopath. Like, yeah, this will be insane.
Nasty.
Poor Renee Young. Renee,
I know that poor woman.
Yeah, she's gonna go into early labor.
Stress-induced labor.
Oh God. What was I gonna? What other things we have to talk about? One thing I did want to mention about Dynamite. Well, two things. One, I loved the segment with the Dark Order and Negative One.
Yeah.
Doing the Hangman save. That was pretty cool. The match with Hardy is an interesting one. The stipulation's a little weird.
Yeah, winner gets the loser's earnings. I have to think that Matt wins, and it just sends Hangman into a darker depression.
Oh yeah, he does. Yeah, Matt wins that.
Yeah.
The other thing is where I don't know if you saw this, but did you see the promo kind of package they played for Jade Cargill and Shaquille O'Neal?
Yeah, well, they played basketball for like.
Yeah, what the fuck was that about? Like, it was like they're preparing for their match and they're on the court playing basketball. Like that's like me getting ready to play a basketball game and getting into the ring and grappling around. Like, makes no sense.
Yeah, just get out there and shoot some threes, Jade. We'll show them.
Yeah, that was one thing I wanted to mention. And of course, NXT TakeOver happened last week. We obviously don't have time to go through the whole card, but we kind of mentioned it earlier. The Undisputed Era. Yeah, it is interesting times in NXT at the moment. I, for one, can't wait to see Kyle O'Reilly versus Adam Cole. The one thing notable yesterday, there was reports that Kyle O'Reilly had a seizure after NXT. Luckily, that wasn't true. He's just really, really good at his job of selling and making you believe he had a seizure. So, yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Is there anything else you wanted to add?
No, I'm content.
Yeah, I'm also content. That's been us. Be sure to follow us at JB Wrestling 1998. And for any inquiries, email us at jbwrestling50@gmail.com. Check out our interview last week with Speedball Mike Bailey, and we've interviews with Butch Armstrong and Andy the Taxman from Grappling with Canada up as well. All great interviews. Highly recommend them. And we have a couple of guests booked. We won't reveal who or what yet because, like today's episode, card is also subject to change, so we don't want to be jinxing anything before we announce it. But we do have guests coming up. We're working on other guests. And yeah, it'll be an interestingly road to WrestleMania.
Yeah, it will.
Yeah. So thanks for listening, and also be sure to follow our Instagram account at Just Because Wrestling and our YouTube. There'll be clips of the Speedball Mike Bailey episode and interview up on the YouTube soon. So, and the full interview is up at the moment on YouTube as well, if you want to go give that a listen. So thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, guys.
Yeah.